at baystatedental.com.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield. Martin production. Oh boy, it never ends. Good morning, Westfield. Welcome back for the 2018-19 school year. You are in the flow with Rob and Joe on Tiger Talk, all things Westfield Technical Academy. Mr. O'Leary, good morning.
Good morning.
After our summer hiatus, you've been renewed. Year 3. You've been renewed for another season.
Year 3. This is unbelievable. Welcome back,
phenomenal.
Joe, everyone.
Year 3 after the initial hoodwink. Remember that first time when I appeared with you and Zap, and
in the studio.
He hoodwinked me at the end of the show and said, "You're going to keep doing the show?" Yeah, I guess. So,
sure.
So here we are.
Bamboozled.
Slightly. Certainly not the first time. I doubt it will be the last, too. So, Mr. O'Leary, how are you after our summer hiatus?
Doing great. I mean, it's day 8 back in school. It feels like it's week 8 or month 8. We're right back in the flow, which is good.
We never lose our momentum.
You know, you kind of just
pick
back up. Everybody's a grade and a year older, which is a little confusing for me. I'm like, man, wait, you're a senior this year? Because time kind of flies in my mind. So, but it's great. Yeah, great to have everybody back, and we got some new staff and a great new crop of freshmen.
Phenomenal.
We'll talk about a little bit later.
We were very eager to welcome 149 new freshmen last week.
They're everywhere. Huge class.
They are legion, for they are many. Filling out the ranks of the student population here at the academy.
Also happy to note the most students we've ever had in this school.
I was going to say, it's a very large class.
It is, yeah.
Everywhere.
We set a lot of records. At the end of last year, we graduated the largest class in the history of the academy. Our enrollment is record-breaking. We're just doing it well, as the old saying goes. So in addition to welcoming those freshmen, we had our annual freshman barbecue last Thursday. I was thrilled that in spite of some really nasty weather, we had well over 200 people, parents, families, students in attendance. It was another great event. It's always a pleasure to welcome families here and have the opportunity to remind families that in addition to their own units, they're now part of this larger Westfield Technical Academy family, and that everything that we do on behalf of our students only makes sense with their partnership. And that's something that bears repeating it's something I should remind myself to repeat every time that we're together here on the radio. We can't do what we do without you, right? There's got to be partnership between family and community and the school in order for us to make education work at its optimal. And I'm grateful for the partnership that we have, both in terms of our community organizations and our students' families. I dare say it's the strongest in the Westfield Public Schools, and it's a great privilege for me as principal to know that that we can work so well together.
I
I'm
would.
sorry, now that you've adjusted your socks, Mr. O'Leary.
No,
That was a sock adjusting
I would
moment,
agree.
if you will.
I would agree. Taking it all in.
So I have to tell you, looking around Tiger's Pride, I have this experience of deja vu, because my first radio broadcast, my first year here at the Academy, was a broadcast in which we highlighted and we featured aviation maintenance technology. And I'm proud to say that 3 years out, they're back around the table, but they're back around the table as our first cohort of seniors who will graduate from this program in June. So that's an awesome accomplishment, and for me as principal, it's a great source of pride to see all of these happy, shiny faces in uniform around the table here in Tiger's Pride, led by...
None more so than Nate Spiller.
Led by... I would definitely go along with that.
So we've all met Nate.
Some days more than others, but led by retired Master Chief Sergeant USAF Galen Wilson, who was our first program instructor and current department chair. So it is more than a pleasure to welcome you and the crew back around the table, Galen. So thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you and good morning.
So we're kind of split. We've got a few folks around the table in the immediate area, and then we've got the whole crew in the back. I'd just like you all, well, you are all at the table have microphones, so it's easy for you, but those of you who are in the back, if you could just stand up and shout your name. I'd like everybody to go around, and actually you're reintroducing yourselves, even though it's been a while since you've been on. So, but I want people to hear from you.
Oh.
I don't know how far it'll go, but hey guys, does everyone walk past the stage?
Pete needs a cameraman today.
Keely Meyer.
Dan Avery.
Mackenzie.
No, don't be shy. It's only a microphone.
Devin.
Vadim.
And then seated, and Nate, of course, holding the microphone. Nate Spiller. And then around the table we have Mark.
Jared Fournier.
And we're going to get you
Edward
guys up on
Towers.
stage after, so get ready, all right?
And
Edward Towers.
the Edward Towers.
The Edward Towers,
The
so
Edward
I've
Towers.
heard.
So, Galen, why don't you give us sort of a rundown of what these folks have been busy doing since the last time we gathered, which is a while ago. A lot's happened in what's actually a relatively short period of time.
You're absolutely right. These students are, well, they're the program first, and I refer to them as my guinea pigs because I've tried numerous different things with them, projects, exercises, and some worked, and you know how teaching goes, some didn't. So these students here helped me shape and form the aviation program from day one. So as freshmen, they came in and hit the ground running, and we started building this program. Today, as seniors, the program is doing very well. These students will graduate. They'll be FAA certified, so they'll have their FAA licensure, which entitles them to go out into the workplace and start working. This is a 2-year college course on the outside. So what these kids have accomplished is quite amazing.
So just to remind everybody in our audience, when Galen references starting the program, he's not joking, right? This was a venture that began before my arrival, of course, when our current superintendent, Mr. Zaporowski, was the principal of the academy, began literally from an idea. And I think it's important to remind the folks in the audience that this aviation maintenance technology program is only the third high school program that's available in the United States of America currently. I anticipate that that's going to change because among a lot of other things that Galen and I were working on over the last year, we were privileged to participate in a project with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on creating a curriculum framework for the aviation maintenance technology program that will enable other programs to be initiated elsewhere in the Commonwealth. Galen was also working on a project which was responsible for creating the educator licensure exam for that program, and we will be embarking as a school on our Chapter 74 approval of that program this year. As a matter of fact, as soon as this broadcast is done, I have to hightail it to Marlboro for a meeting on that and a couple of other career tech ed related subjects. So this is no small feat. I mean, is that an understatement, Galen?
This was huge, and interestingly enough, when I sat in front of the board for the first time, the hiring board, and they were interviewing me for the job, and they were explaining what needed to be done, and I sat there. Oh yeah, hey, no problem. We can do this. We can do it. No problem. I got it. And wow, it didn't take me long to figure out that there was a lot of moving parts to this, and but never failed, never faltered, and we kept going, and look where we're at today. And you're absolutely right. We are only one of 3 FAA certified high schools in the country. We are the only FAA certified high school in New England. So that's huge. And FAA certification, as you can surmise, the FAA takes it very serious. We're inspected 4 times per year, so a lot goes into it. And
we see a lot of the Federal Aviation Administration.
Yes, with their dark jackets and their dark sunglasses. It can be intense, but again, never will we fail. Never will we falter.
But actually, great relationship with our local FAA partners as well. I'm always encouraged to see them in the building when they come for their inspections, and I'm always really excited to have an opportunity to interact with them after they finish their inspections and leave, because the feedback is always so positive and so affirming relative to the good things that are happening in our program. So while the feds can be a little intimidating, we've actually got a really collaborative partnership with them, and I'm grateful to them for everything that they do to support the continued growth of our program.
And just to add to that, so I say 4 times per year, the FAA is in here. So we've gone through about 12 inspections, and never, as an absolute, have they ever found anything that was a showstopper or overly concerning for them. You know, little things, dot the I, cross the T's type stuff, but never have they found anything.
Limfax, we don't got no stinking Limfax, right?
That's right, no Limfax here.
Already? My
Yeah,
God,
it's
Mr. O'Leary and
20 past the hour.
Wow.
and Peter telling me that it's already time for a break, which doesn't seem humanly possible. So we're going to pay some bills. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Please stay tuned.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
And we're back. Good morning again, Westfield, and welcome back for 2018-2019 to the Rob and Joe Show. You're in the flow with Rob and Joe, all things Westfield Technical Academy. Before we get back to our guest, I want to just take a minute to do a couple of recognitions. And, of course, he walked away when I was about to recognize him, but I want to give a shout-out to our culinary arts program, Chef Phil Mucciaroni, Chef Eric Roberts, and Mrs. Stacy Boizo, who did as usual, a rock star job with our freshman barbecue and orientation last Thursday. As always, we were beyond well fed and beyond well cared for, and we want to give them our thanks. Even this morning, we've got cookies and we've got pastries.
Cookies appeared.
We've got things out for us, to keep us nourished, to keep us awake and alert. And I just want the culinary program here to know how grateful I am for everything that they do on behalf of the school and our community. I also, surprise guest in the audience, I want to recognize one of the newest members of the Westfield Public Schools district staff, Miss Lauren Figge, our new science supervisor for grades 7 through 12.
Crunching the numbers.
That's it.
As you could see.
At her laptop doing a deep data dive first thing on a Thursday morning. So, Lauren, welcome.
Is that with the superintendent?
You have preview of coming attractions.
And you can also shout out to the freshmen down the hall in graphic arts who are watching you down while they're doing their projects down there.
You're stealing my thunder.
Oh, come on. I gotta tout my own horn once in a while.
Oh, go ahead. All right. So it's your moment to shine, Pete. Go for it.
So the students in graphic arts are getting a taste of the future radio and television broadcasting shop, which will come online fully, hopefully, first of next year. And they're going to get a taste of it this year, and a couple of them are pretty psyched. I drug out the old news save tapes, and I was showing some of the stuff I shot when I worked for Channel 40 and beyond, and they were kind of psyched about it.
Jack O'Neill, if you will. That's right.
Not that far back, no. I'm still in the Ray Herschel era. But, I talked to some of the freshmen yesterday, and I'll be doing the same thing this afternoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz going on, so that's good news. Chef Mooch has reappeared from the back. You left before I had a chance to recognize you. While we have you there, ETA on the opening of Tiger's Pride for this school year?
We're going to go every other week in about 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And we'll start opening up.
All right, so stay tuned. Look out on Facebook. Listen to our broadcast. We will keep you apprised of our opening date. Getting a lot of. I've actually gotten a few emails from folks wondering about the opening date. So there's a lot of community excitement about Tigers Pride being back in action again for the school year. So, as always, we want to thank you for your patronage, members of the Greater Westfield community, and we look forward to serving you again this school year. So, Mr. O'Leary.
Yes.
You have that look of urgency on your face.
I do, because there's just a couple things I got to get to real quick, and then we got to pass it off to the crew. So we're going to have you guys back, because we're not going to get to you. But as I'm sitting here listening to Joe and Mr. Wilson, we don't often have time to reflect in this industry because it's go, go, go. But I got to give a couple shout outs to some key people that got us here today. I remember a sultry July day when our now current superintendent, Mr. Zaporowski, myself, Mr. Daly, and Ed Watson, our general advisory chair. We were sitting around the conference table, and we were brainstorming about the state of Westfield Vocational Technical Academy and the future of Westfield Vocational Technical Academy. You know, and during that brainstorming session, 3 things came out of it. Number 1 is, what is the school doing? How are we branded? And what is our target audience? And how do we convey to the public the mission of the school as far as college and career ready and having viable programs that will feed industry? So rebranding the school.
And can not only feed industry, but are connected to the needs of the region that address our particular needs.
So, you know, rebranding of the school, which we accomplished. Ed then brought up the rich history with aviation in Connecticut and Mass, or Western Mass in particular. And we talked extensively about, the airport. We talked about junior ROTC, which we're still trying to get in this district. And we talked about radio and broadcasting. And here we are 6 years later, and with the help of, gotta give huge props to Ken Drumgold, who, Ed said, I know a guy, I know a pilot, I know a guy, you gotta meet him. And in comes Ken, and here we are sitting with the first cohort of aviation. And that's huge. I mean, as Westfield listeners, as Westfield residents, to think about what a brainstorm session had and the vision of the people around the table, and then to contact somebody like Ken, who harnessed 20 or 30 experts in the aviation industry, and a shout out to Chris Willenborg, who used to be the airport manager, and the DOT, and to be where we are today. And I look across and I see Pete Coles now doing radio and broadcasting. That needs to be noted, that when you get some like-minded folks with a mission and a vision and really the fortitude, when everyone else says aviation, you got the 18-year-olds are going to be certified FAA, you guys are nuts. And you know what? And here we are. And you just gotta thank Ed Watson and Kenny, and along the rest of your staff and everything you've put into it. But it's remarkable, and it has to be noted.
Absolutely. I lean on Ken Drumgold to this day. So he is still there.
I know you do. Yeah.
He's still on our side. He's still fighting. And well, look what's happening with the hangar. We get final approval on Friday. So that's with the fire marshal and the building code enforcement officers looking at the hangar on Friday. So we'll be moving in next week, possibly.
Really good news.
Do you see a remote opportunity?
That's incredible. It's incredible stuff. And we got to celebrate our successes, because in this industry, we don't always have a chance to do that.
No, unfortunately, we get beaten down by regulatory issues so frequently that we forget that we need to remind ourselves that actually there are good things happening. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, all of that brainstorming, all of that effort, all of that heavy lifting wasn't directed at anything else but the kids that are sitting around the table. Yep. Everything, and you've heard me say it since I walked in the door, everything that we do, everything that we are, everything we believe is at the service of our students. And because we are surrounded by the best, we can be sure as a community that our community is going to not only survive, but our community is going to succeed and grow and make progress because of their efforts and because of their connection to what they're doing. So make no bones about it. Our greatness has nothing to do with the program or the facility or this. At the end of the day, our greatness has to do with the kids. And relative to Ed Watson, if I had a penny for every time he's told me I got a guy in the last 2 years, I could have retired 2 years ago. So Ed Watson's a dynamo, and we're privileged to have him as our general advisory chair.
Absolutely.
All right, we've been talking too much.
Yeah, we got to get the crew on. So what do we got going on? Ed Towers, we're going to start with you. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Share your thoughts, man. How'd you get to this point?
Well, I had two choices when I was an oncoming freshman, and that was go to a prep school or come here and get into aviation. And I told my parents, I said, aviation's my dream. That's what I want to do. And I know Mr. Wilson was a little shocked in hearing a freshman say, so what if you don't get into aviation? Because I told him that was my only choice, and I said, I won't be here anymore. And 4 years later, I'm sitting right here, going to graduate at the end of the year.
Did you ever look back at any point?
No.
Question? No.
No.
So you were pretty dialed in.
I never looked back at it. This is what I wanted, and this is what I still want. So I'm really happy to be here.
Can you believe you're a senior?
No.
It's crazy.
No, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And, of course, it's cool for us, as Mr. Langoni said, because we've just, we've seen you guys grow intellectually, physically, mentally, the whole thing. So, and what lies in the future for Ed?
College bound. I'm interested in Vaughn Aeronautical College, which is in New York. I'm interested in either becoming a pilot there or a aerospace engineer. I'm also going to tour Florida Institute of Technology and Embry-Riddle in a couple weeks. So those are my three top choices, and just see what happens.
Yeah, that's
big options on the table.
Those are all great options. Oh, by the way, Vaughn College helped us get off the ground. So I went down there and visited with those folks, and they gave me some pointers on how to set this program up back in the day. So great school. Of course, Embry-Riddle's awesome as well. Everyone
Phenomenal
knows,
reputation.
Embry-Riddle, and then Florida Institute of Technologies. Phenomenal. Good for you, Ed.
So that's pretty exciting. Best of luck. We know you'll do great. You got to keep in touch with us. That's huge. You were the one that paved the way. The whole senior. So
You may hear me reference that at graduation. I don't know. It may happen.
we got our alumni committee set up again. Thanks to Ed Watson. That's really doing well. So we the connection. You're our future. You're our future workforce. You're our future educators. I mean, old guys like us, we're not going to be around forever. So
you never stop being a member of the family. I mean, just because you graduate doesn't mean that you're not connected anymore. We always have a piece of you. You always have a piece of us, and that's good news.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's see Jared next.
Okay, so
how you doing, Jared?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Jared, shout out to Jared for another, before I forget. Jared continues in his capacity as Westfield Technical Academy this year senior representative to the Westfield School Committee, so we want to thank you again for your service, Jared.
Thank you.
Now, Jared, at middle school, did you know, I'm losing track because I'm getting old. When you were in 8th grade, you were at what middle school?
I was at North Middle School.
At North. Was the aviation program part of the discussion at that juncture?
I hadn't heard of it, but
okay.
I also done a right flight program where I had flown a plane before. And
okay.
Yeah, that kind of kicked off my fascination.
What was your thought process to come to Westfield Tech as opposed to Westfield High?
I wanted an additional skill set along with academics and a more mechanical aptitude because I'm interested in engineering too. So
okay.
That's always.
So your kind of mind was open into what shop you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because again, we didn't have a track record. You guys paved the way. All right, good. I was just curious. I like to ask students' thought process. It helps me do my job a little better when I'm talking to 7th and 8th graders. So all right, keep going. So you got here 9th grade.
Yeah, and so we tour all the shops when we start in freshman year, and I learned a little bit about aviation. It was fascinating, and we went up to the airport, and I mean, there's nothing like the magic of being up at the airport and fixing planes and watching them take off and land. So then I decided that this was where I belong.
Yeah.
Like the way you phrase that, Jared, the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jared's also pursuing his pilot's license, so he spent
currently.
Awesome. Sure is. So not only this certification, but another FAA certification, the pilot cert. So good for him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what are your plans?
So I'm college bound. That's the plan. I'm interested in aerospace engineering.
Okay.
I'm still looking at colleges. I'm not really sure exactly which college I'm planning on going to.
Thinking maybe staying locally, maybe getting,
Probably going to branch out.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, you keep us in touch.
Okay.
All right. That's great. All right, and Mark, I speak of you often because you have a very, very unique pathway that got you.
That I do.
You know, so I do reference you quite a bit because I think what you did was extraordinary, and you should be celebrated for how you handled yourself as a young man. So why don't you share with the listeners your pathway?
So my when I was in middle school, I just went to the high school because I didn't think anything of Voc. I just wanted to get through it, be done with school, whatever. Thought the high school would be the easiest. Got through my freshman year, realized how bad I didn't like that. That was a terrible school. I am a hands-on learner. I need to work on stuff, be outside, just do something, not just sit in a classroom and read textbooks all day.
Not that it was a terrible school.
No, not a bad
but
school.
But it didn't align with
it wasn't good
your
for
learning
me.
style. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
And that's great that you recognize that.
yeah.
Just wanted to.
Oh, yeah. So then I heard about the aviation program, and all my family's been in aviation. My grandfather worked at Pratt & Whitney. My dad works at Gulfstream. So everyone's always talked about airplanes around me. I always wanted to understand what they were saying because some of the things they'd talk about just go right over my head. Didn't understand it. So came to Voc, went through. I actually had to stay back a year because I should have been a sophomore, but you can't do the aviation program as a sophomore. So I repeated my freshman year.
Why, just for the benefit of listeners, why is that, Mark? Why couldn't you have started as a sophomore?
So you can't start as a sophomore because the FAA says you need this amount of hours to get your certification, and a whole year of not being in class. That's a lot of hours you miss.
Yeah, that's right. The clock starts ticking after you make your final selection in freshman year.
I mean, we can only miss like 3 days of shop before it's done, booted.
Right. So I want to just pause for a minute. So there's two gentlemen in this room that chose on their own accord to repeat a grade that they passed. Now, I've been in education, and I think this is my 18th year. So if I were to talk to colleagues throughout the Commonwealth, I don't know if we could find other kids that chose to say, you know what, because I want to pursue this pathway and I have to repeat a grade level, in particular ninth grade, I'm gonna stay back. I mean, again, that takes a lot of fortitude on your part.
Yeah.
And you need to be recognized for that. That's no small feat. I mean,
27 years in education, with the exception of 2 of those, I worked as a teacher and an administrator in a tech setting. I had never experienced a student make a choice like that until I came here, and only in this program. And that speaks volumes about the level of maturity and dedication that the members of this department display, and it's humbling.
And to go one more level, and I don't want to harp on this, but it's worth noting, because our exploratory is mandated by the Commonwealth of Mass and the Department of Education. You and Nate, who we'll talk to in a bit, you had to go through the whole exploratory program. I mean, you didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to repeat ninth grade for aviation."
It wasn't a guarantee.
That wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't a
They
guarantee.
had to go through everything that the other 140 some odd freshmen had to do. So again, it needs to be noted, and that's going to stick with me until I retire. And that's something I share quite often. And that was a hard conversation to have with you and your dad. I remember when I went to then Principal Mr. Zapper. What do you mean he wants to repeat? I said, he wants aviation.
Yeah.
So
I remember that day. That was when Mr. Wilson came right in on. And I'm just sitting in my little chair, small kid, looking up to Mr. Wilson.
Gave you the hard sell, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what's in store for you, Mark?
So I'm going straight into the workforce. Currently, I am at Gulfstream. And that's where I plan to go after I get out of high school. I really like it there.
So tell us a little bit about I think it's great you're practicing your craft really on location. So what types of, like real quick, what do you do at Gulfstream?
So a lot of times I'm taking panels off, putting panels on, removing starters, hydraulic systems.
Are you
with landing
working
gear.
under a certified mechanic?
So Gulfstream is kind of like they have their own certification. Everyone just works under theirs.
I see.
So, but yes, I am kind of working under someone else too.
So you're being supervised.
Yeah,
right?
I am being supervised. I work with 3 different guys over there, and they always just keep tabs on me. But I get my tasks for
Your
the day.
father come around keeping tabs on you periodically too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're enjoying it?
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
That's great.
Nothing tougher than working with your father. Oh,
Your
boy.
old dad, yes.
I have
Love him.
PTSD about my childhood.
Well, that's great. You're smiling and you seem happy and certainly
Oh, yeah.
off to a super start.
Wouldn't
So
want it any other way.
yeah, and you think you'll stay with the mechanic end of
Oh, for
aviation? Yeah.
Yeah.
We know the opportunities are endless throughout the world. I mean,
Yeah.
internationally.
I was
you
going
can,
to say, in this industry, you're really only limited by your own desire, I
Right.
think.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. Gulfstream has a program where if you want to continue education, if you wanted to get your college degree, they will help you and make that happen. So they support that. And I'm hearing great things about Mark. He works hard, doing a good job, and I'm very proud of him.
I'd have
As
expected-
I am all of the students.
I'd expect nothing less from any of them, for sure. Look at perfect timing, Producer Pete. Producer Pete's telling us it's time for our second break, so please stay tuned and we'll be back.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. And now you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain and hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places. But the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south. Way on down south, London town. Check out Guitar George. He knows all the chords. But it's strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make it cry or sing. If then an old guitar is all he can afford, when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything, saving it up Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing. Many crowded young boys, they're fooling around in the corner, drunk and dressed in their best brown baggies in their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band. It ain't what they call rock and roll. And the Sultans, yeah, the Sultans, they play Creole. Creole. Sultans. We are the Sultans of Swing.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at Rockies.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And we're back. Producer Pete, it looks like I lost my co-host.
I know, he wandered off.
Abandoned, if you will. Fortunately, I'm not the type of guy to take it personally. But anyway, before we get back to our guest, I just want to share some late-breaking news with our audience. Mrs. Lindsay Grimsley of our Graphic Arts Department and Mr. Kevin Grimsley of our Infotech Department welcomed the birth of their son, Micah Thomas Grimsley, yesterday afternoon at 5:21. He shares a birthday with my son, Jude. And by all counts, from the photograph that I'm just seeing for the first time now, is beautiful and looks happy and healthy. So yes. Congratulations to the Grimsleys on
a little bit earlier than expected
on their newest arrival. He's beautiful. God bless him. So we want to give them a shout out. Also, the studio audience is growing exponentially here.
These are our graphic arts freshmen.
I've got a wave from one of my favorite people in the district, Mrs. Susan Dargy, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Joining Lauren Figge down on the floor is our new Supervisor of Social Studies, Jay Taylor. Erica Maschadrelli in the wings. Geez, it's a WPS party. Holla! Mr. O'Leary, come join me here. We got to get to the second cadre of aviation students. So, Mr. Wilson, we've changed up the seating arrangement here. Who do we have around the table?
All right, we have a couple more students. We did the swapping of the guard here. So off to my left, we have Nathaniel Spiller, a.k.a. Nate. And we have Keely Meyer, Danny Avery, and Mackenzie McCann. So would like to give them a chance to speak and about their
take care of
experiences in aviation. So Nate Spiller.
Well, I guess I'm kind of lost. I guess
this is the first time.
Not often you catch Spiller without words.
Off
that's
guard,
for sure.
if you will. Yeah.
Well, Nate, before you start, I'm going to jump in, and I'm also going to thank you because you had a similar path as Mark. Only you started here at Westfield. Was it Westfield Voc at that time?
Yes, sir.
So Westfield Voc, and then you decided that when you started as a 9th grader, aviation was not up and running yet.
No, sir.
So you had a decision to make. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because you need to be noted for that as well.
Yeah. I think it started all in middle school. I got the chance to fly in middle school, and that kind of broke the ground with aviation for myself. I got accepted to the school, started off in the automotive program. It's a great program here.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It just wasn't me. I had aspirations of flying, fixing airplanes, and I had heard that the aviation program was going to open, and I know this sounds like a running story every time, but I decided, midway through my summer, what was supposed to be my sophomore year, that I wanted to stay back. It surprisingly wasn't a very hard decision. My parents were totally behind it. Of course, administration at the school was completely supportive of it, and we made that change within the first week of school, and I started exploratory back up. It was nothing guaranteed, and I knew that.
Yeah, so again, we made it very clear to you and your parents, you had to compete with 150 other students for essentially 14 spots.
So 2 trips through exploratory.
Yeah.
And how could I not select Nate?
You're right.
And it wasn't a hard decision whatsoever. I went through exploratory and had a wonderful time and knew that this is what I wanted to do. And 3 years later, here I am. It's senior year.
Fantastic.
I don't know where time went. I really don't. I don't.
Wait till you're our age.
And I tell you what, just so you know, these students help paint, and they help clean, and they help polish and prepare and assemble and on the road to go pick up aircraft.
Yeah.
And these students here
Moving aircraft in the middle of the night
Yeah,
through
let's
town.
not forget about that.
Moving airplanes through the center of Westfield
in the middle of the
2
night.
a.m.
Yep.
Yeah. And Nate Spiller was there.
I was there for that one.
Many of them. So, yeah.
So what do you got? What's the future hold for Nate Spiller?
Well, right now I'm actually working up at KBAF Barnes, working at Retrix. So I'm taking care of any aircraft that comes in, doing any basic servicing, getting myself, as others would say, on the side of the fence. I'm able to build a lot of great connections with pilots, mechanics, really anybody. And that's kind of the way I looked at it, was the amount of information that I may be able to get out of even if it's the smallest little bit of information from everybody that comes through that facility, just pick their brains a little bit, and it should become something.
My grandfather used to tell us when we were kids, you never learn less.
Exactly, and that was my mindset going into the Retrix company, and it's been a great opportunity. And over the summer, I was fortunate enough. Keely Meyer as well, sitting to the left of me. We were able to visit Bridgewater State University, and you were able to tour the management part of it, right? And I was able to tour the flight portion of it, and it looks like it's a wonderful program. You walk out of there with all your ratings on the pilot end, making you eligible to get your commercial license, and then from there you just build up hours to your what they call ATP, or heavy transport, and from there it would be flying for a big airline, flying to Florida every day, hopefully.
So that's
I think of worse places.
That's on your mark, huh?
Yes,
commercial pilot.
Yeah, that's what's been in the back of my head ever since I jumped in the left seat, flying a little Cherokee down in middle school, and that's kind of what's been in the back of my brain.
Let me just say that Bridgewater State University has a fantastic aviation program. I have a lot of friends that graduated from that college and currently flying F-15s and A-10s in the Air Force, in addition flying for FedEx and JetBlue. So it is a great program to get into, and it looks good. Their visit out there, I got lots of
positive feedback.
Positive feedback, yes. So I'm excited for them.
So that's on the top of your list, Nate?
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yeah,
Bridgewater,
that's
okay.
definitely on the top of my list. Yep.
Keely.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great.
So, tell us the whole story,
your
kid.
journey.
Well, I mean, aviation wasn't what I even came here for, but I'm definitely glad
What was?
Well, in like 7th grade, it was culinary for my whole life. And then I switched to business. And then Mr. Wilson, honestly, was the one who like brightened everything for me, lightened the path. And I'm so glad I chose it.
It's
awesome.
so like him spreading sunshine everywhere he goes, isn't it?
It is.
It is
That's right.
true. He
Sunshine
does.
everywhere.
Kitty, what middle school
Mandatory.
were you at?
I was at Granville.
You were at
my whole
Granville.
life, yeah.
That's right. Out of district.
Yep. And now I want to do management.
Yeah, tell me about that. Talk to the audience about aviation management. What does that entail?
Well, I mean, it has a lot under it,
Okay.
like from air traffic control to managing airports, all of that. And I don't really know what particularly I want to do yet, but I at least want to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like really excited for Bridgewater, because when I went there, they told me, and by the time my junior year hits, my summer between my junior and senior year of college, they'll actually be sending me somewhere, like out in like the South. They said all over the United States. They have interns all over. So that could be a job that I can have for an internship.
But as part of your program,
Yep.
you'll have the opportunity to select a particular track. Under
like,
management.
Yeah,
or-
they said they can like show me like a broad spectrum of like a bunch of different things, so I can actually have like 2 summers where I internship, so I can get a feel for like 2 different management types of jobs. So I'm really excited for that.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
1 minute or
1
less.
minute.
That's it.
Yeah.
The
Really?
super's
Yeah.
knocking on the door.
Knock, knocking on Langoni's door.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well,
all right? How's
yeah,
that sound, Mr.
absolutely.
Langone?
I think we should schedule a remote at the hangar in Future Aviation and do a special up there.
We'll do that
Producer
too.
Pete, I like the way you, the way you think.
We'll
All
do
right,
that
well,
too.
First of all, we want to thank you for bringing the whole crew down. We will definitely reconvene because there are a lot of other stories that we want to hear again. It's always good for us to hear them
Oh,
again,
yeah.
but it's good for the community to hear. So, Galen, I want to thank you. I know time is precious in your program, so giving us this little bit of time has been great. Before we say goodbye until next Thursday, I just want to briefly, because I didn't have an opportunity to on the day itself, I want to make a quick recognition of the 9/11 event, without reference to dwelling on the event as much as to say thank you to all of our active and retired military, all of our police, fire, and first responders. I know when I woke up this year on 9/11, in addition to remembering where I was on that day and all of the rest of that, I was extremely grateful for everything that they do to keep us safe and free. So in your travels today, if you run into a policeman, a fireman, EMT, any retired or active military service, do them and do yourself a favor. Give them a great big thank you, because without them, our lives would be diminished terribly. And in that regard, I want to give a thank you to retired Master Chief Sergeant Galen Wilson for his service, his continued service in a different pathway to our country here. So thank you, Galen. You make me proud to be an American every day.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to be here, right? Proud to serve.
Happy to be here. Proud to serve. Yes, sir.
All right, so I can see that our inestimable superintendent, Stefan Zaporowski, is waiting in the wings with his guest host, our Director of Human Resources, Miss Paula Siglowski. So I encourage you to stay tuned and give a holla to Zap and Paula.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental.